Are you struggling to improve your English fluency? Do you want to speak English fluently or confidently? Hello, this is Neha and I'm here to help. In this video, I'm going to talk about different kind of tips, tricks and techniques. By following them, you can be fluent in English. So, you have to just write down them in your notebook so that whenever you are going to forget them, you can go back to your notebook and you can read all of them and you can implement them again and again over when it comes to different kind of languages. It's not all about only in English, it's just all about for whatever you are learning when it comes to different kind of languages in your life. So in this video, I'm just going to be share those particular tips and tricks and techniques so that you can be fluent in English. So now let me tell you why it is crucial to become fluent in English. It's not, I already told you, it's not all about in English, it's all about for all the languages, whatever you are learning apart from English. Okay. So now fluency, what does it mean by the fluency? Fluency simply mean when you are going to talk about, when you are going to initiate a conversation and you are going to engaging in a conversation with somebody and you are like, okay, what to say next? Means you have everything into your mind. You have already know what kind of things you are going to talk about and you already prepared enough your mind to speak, but when it comes your turn, you are going to stuck. You are going to phrase at the time. You are like, what to say? I'm not going to. I'm not going to be know about it. Even you already know what kind of things you can say here, but you are unable to speak out. That is the main problem here. That is something that when we talk about fluency, fluency simply mean if you are talking to someone, if you are talking to yourself or to someone, then you are going to express yourself fully. You don't have to worry what kind of things, what kind of vocabulary you have to use. You start feeling and you start using your active vocabulary in which you are going to comfortable. Okay, and after that you are like, okay, you have become already fluent. But now I'm just going to be talk about how you can be fluent, and there are some tips and tricks and techniques. By following them you can be fluent. So the first technique is expose yourself in English. So what does it mean by the exposing yourself? Exposing yourself simply mean you have to make an environment. It's not going to be that I'm talking about only offline or there's something that you can say, no, I'm not going to be live in a family where everyone just going to talk about in English, where someone and everyone just going to initiate a conversation in English. It's not even going to happen. You are living with your family and everyone just going to talk in their native languages, and that is something like in India you will see that there are a lot of and the different kind of native languages around us. And when we feel, okay, I'm not going to talk to someone who are going to talk to me in English. So when I'm talking about environment, it simply mean that you are going to create it. It's not all about offline. It simply mean that you are creating it online. Online simply mean that there are a lot of podcasts, a lot of movies, songs that you like a lot. Now you start listening to them. And suppose if there are some movies you are thinking I'm just going to watch them in future, then you don't have to worry. You don't have to wait for that. You don't have to wait. I'm just going to watch them in 2027. No, don't say that. You just start watching them right away whenever you feel you are free. So just start that particular thing. Just start doing that and keep on doing that. If there are some movies, and I will recommend you, please don't watch Hollywood movies because you are not going to understand them. It is because they are going to use some alternative phrases there, some slang words, and you are not familiar with them. Your mind is not going to familiar because you never heard them before, and that's why you will feel like boring. You are not going to make it happen anymore, and that is the problem. That's why I will recommend you that you can go ahead with podcast and the some particular English or the English channels which are just going to from India, or if you are from another country then you can find out there, because they are just going to use some easiest phrases. Some, like when I'm talking about vocabulary as well, they are going to use them. That just going to be become your active vocabulary or your active sentences in your day-to-day life, and you can easily understand them. So first of all, you have to select some particular movies, some songs, or some podcast when it comes to audiobooks as well. Then you can move on to them. You can go ahead with that one, and you can tell yourself, okay, I'm just going to be watch them. But first of all, you have to understand, if you start watching a native kind of, if there is someone who just going to like a native speaker, and you start follow them, and you start follow him or her, and you are like, no, I'm not going to understand anything. But yeah, there will something that is going to benefit you, that is your pronunciation. You are going to understand, okay, that is particular vocabulary, that is particular sentence, the native speaker just going to be speak like that. They are going to pronounce this particular vocabulary like this. And that's why you start thinking, okay, from now onwards, I'm just going to keep in mind that I have to be like pronounce that particular one in that way. Okay, so this is something like it's just going to benefit you. But when it comes to speaking, then you have to choose someone who just going to easy for you, that whom you are just going to understand easily. Okay, first of all, you have to expose yourself in English. You have to create an environment around you. It could be like online, if there is no one who are going to talk to you in English, then you have to create it by yourself. You have to listen to some audiobooks, podcast, or some songs, and that you feel relaxed. And when you are just going to listening to them, when you are just going to watching them, you are not going to feel overwhelmed, and that is just going to be, you are going to interested in them. And that's why you have to select something like that. And the second thing is repetition. Repetition is simply mean you have to select something. It's not all about, I'm just going to be tell you here, you have to select a song or a movie or a podcast or an audiobook. No, I'm not going to be tell you here like that. You have to select something which is just going to be exclusively in English, and now you have to repeat that particular everything, whatever they are talking about, that particular content. Suppose you have selected an audio, okay, and now you are going to repeat. Repetition simply mean when you can pause that particular audio. You don't have to worry that that particular speaker just going to speak up, and it's just going to like flow free or something like that, and you are like, no, I'm not going to with him. And that's why you have to understand, when I'm talking about repetition simply mean when you can pause that particular audio, that particular video, and you have to repeat that one. Sometimes when suppose there are only 5 or 6 sentences you want to repeat, and you start pausing your video or your that particular audio, and you start feeling, no, it's just going to take a lot of time, it's taking so much time here. You don't have to worry, because you are doing something towards your English, you are improving. And that's why you don't have to worry if there are only 5 6 sentences and they are taking so much time. You just have to stay connected. You just have to like when I'm talking about the discipline or the consistency, you have to make you understand, it's just going to benefit you in a long term. And that's why you don't have to worry that I'm just going to be taking so much time here and I'm not going to be continue it anymore. You don't have to say like that. You have to follow consistency and the discipline here. And final one is shadowing. If you have already done with those particular tips and techniques what I have told you, now you can move on to the shadowing. Shadowing is a practice where you are going to repeat the speaker whatever the speaker is saying, but you don't have to pause that particular audio video, but you have to speak with the speaker. That is called shadowing, that is known as shadowing. But you have to keep in mind, it's not going to be for beginners. If you are an intermediate level, if you are in an advanced level, then you can go ahead with the shadowing. That's why I have already told you that you have to practice repetition first. After that, if you are feeling comfortable with repetition, now you can go ahead with the shadowing, because shadowing is something like you don't have to pause. You are just going to repeat, you are just going to repeat everything, like the pronunciation, rhythm, intonation with the speaker. You have to be repeat speaker again and again over, but with him you don't have to pause that particular video or audio. Bye bye.